my wife and her parents. I was like, "What are you talking about? You're going to be a YouTube golfer. You're not good at golf."
Me and Adam were in a hot tub, right? Probably like between 6 to 10 feet apart from each other, and we were just talking about golf. I was dumb enough that I was like, "Yeah, I could edit full YouTube videos," and Adam was working from home with his job at the time, and was like, "Yeah, let's freaking golf. We can do this." And just from watching other people's content and thinking that we were delusional enough to do it ourselves, we just kind of jumped in. We can actually do this if we put our mind to it. Telling the in-laws with full confidence what we're quitting our jobs to do, that's a big one. There was those conversations with me and my wife for the first year and a half of like, hey, we're only spending money on this. You're not making money, and like it's taking all of your extra time, right? And I'm like, trust me, like just give it time. Shout out to her for not leaving me during that.
Welcome back to another episode of the Content Clubhouse podcast. Today we have the honor of hosting Adam McLean and Connor Sibley, better known as the Divot Dudes, for what I think, guys, is the first ever twosome here on the show. So first off, in honor of the Ryder Cup this week, which is really going to date this episode because it's going to be probably a few weeks before this comes out, but either way, if you two were playing alt shot for Team USA, what would be your preferred playing order on a hole?
Like who hits first?
Yeah, driver, because you got to go driver, iron. Let's call it a par 4. So I guess you're
Okay.
the order that would work out.
I'm taking, normally I go tee box and then Connor alternate from there. So it'd be me tee box, Connor second shot, probably short of the green. I'm chipping up, Connor's putting, and then hopefully it's a par.
Yep, safe bet. Yep, Adam's hitting the tee shot. Hopefully we're fairway or close to it. I'm hitting the iron. I'm probably missing the green to the right, and Adam's gonna chip. If he gets it on the green within 10 to 15 feet, we got a pretty good chance at par.
This is also a perfect case scenario where there's no hosels involved, which is a rare occurrence for us. So we can't promise that, but if I think it'd be pretty close.
Well, I like the strategy. Maybe call up Keegan if they need any backup this weekend. Although something tells me I think they'll be all right. But really good to have you guys on, and just looking at your guys' content. What really made me want to reach out to you guys and get you on here. You're really unique in this space. Playing and creating as a duo is not super common. So most people are either doing it solo, and then you got plenty that do it in terms of a larger group, like a good or golf girl games. But how did you guys get into content creation, and what made you want to do it together as a pair?
It's a great question. Yeah, do you want me to take the lead on that one?
Sure, dude, go for
So
it.
me and Adam were in a hot tub, right?
What a way to
We
start
were
a
like
story there.
probably like between 6 to 10 feet apart from each other, and we were just talking about golf. We were spending a lot of time talking about golf. That was pretty much it. Adam was working in corporate, I was working in music, and on the back end of COVID, everybody's golfing. We both kind of got into it, and I was dumb enough just from editing some short form stuff for my own music Instagram that I was like, yeah, I could edit full YouTube videos. And Adam was working from home with his job at the time and was like, yeah, let's freaking golf. We can do this. And just from watching other people's content and thinking that we were delusional enough to do it ourselves, we just kind of jumped in, hit the ground running, started posting TikToks every day. They look a lot different than they look now, but that was the start of it, man. We just both fell in love with golf and had the idea. I think we might could do it. I think initially our idea was maybe we'll get some free golf stuff out of this. And then after a few months, me and Adam both, and Adam had been into YouTube a while. I'll let you talk more about that, but we just started thinking, we can actually do this if we put our mind to it. But that was the jump. That was the start.
Yeah, I think long story short, too, Connor and I have known each other since the seventh grade. So we went to middle school together and we knew we wanted to work with each other in some capacity. If we would have said YouTube golf on the bingo card, I would have said there's no way that's going to be our work capacity. But it's a dream job. We're super blessed to be in this scenario to work with one of my best friends, and our families are amazing. So it's been an awesome experience, but we both loved golf. We didn't really get into it until after college, and like, shoot, we're going to regret it if we don't go out there and give it a try at least. Even though we might look like idiots for the first year or two, but maybe we'll get some free golf out of it. And now it's turned into a full business where we have full-time employees and a manager, and never would have expected this, but couldn't be more thankful where we are today.
Yeah. So from those early days, I definitely want to get into the type of content that you guys have really become known for. But how I guess did you first get started? Because a lot of people are doing trick shots in the backyard, or play 9 holes with me, this sort of thing. What was kind of the early content strategy, if you even had one?
Early was literally just post a video every day. I mean, it was like we would go out to the course, sometimes together, sometimes apart, because he was living in Florida and I was living in Nashville. Just like going out, would play 9 holes, set up a tripod on the iPhone, and just like each hole would be its own TikTok. And Adam would do some like him hitting his wife putting, or we would do like I play a hole one day, we post it. Adam plays a hole the next day, we post it. Just doing anything we could to pretty much post something golf related. And then Adam was like, "We need to do a podcast, and you can kind of talk about."
Yeah,
that
we basically threw a lot at the wall and see what stuck at first, and I think we were like, shoot, there's a lot of stuff going around in the YouTube golf space. I've watched a lot of YouTube. I love Dude Perfect when I was younger, and I think we're like, shoot, there's a lot of stuff going on in this space. Like, what if we kind of gave a weekly roundup of what's going on in the YouTube golf space? And so we actually started as a podcast, which a lot of people don't really know. Is we started almost 3 years ago as a podcast, and that's kind of what our original followers were. We interviewed Matt Kendrick, the CEO of Good Good, and did a tour of their facilities, and then we're like, shoot, we really want to play golf. Like, we just don't want to be like a sports center for golf, but we actually want to get out there and play because we both got the golf bug. And so like, I flew into Nashville. This was our first real like viral video. I flew into Nashville. We went to Topgolf, and then 2 hours before we went to Walmart and bought 24 Srixon golf balls. And I said, let's put them in like a random bag, and the person gets to pick a bag. And if they hit their number, they get to either have a prize full of 24 golf balls, or it was like a prize of, I don't even know, it was like wiffle balls or something, or something stupid.
Yeah, we had like one if they didn't get it was like
Yeah.
club head covers or something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
iron
But
covers.
yeah,
Yeah, iron head covers. And we were like, this will be a stupid funny video, and just see what happens. And that's kind of the very first video. We were like, oh shoot, this is something here. We're playing technically. We're hitting a long drive to guys to beat us in a long drive at Topgolf, and that video for us at the time was viral. I think it was 50,000 views. We were like, oh wow, we're playing golf and we're getting a lot of views and a lot of followers. Maybe we can turn this into a full-time content strategy style. So that's kind of how we call them call your carries. That's how the call your carries evolved, and then it kind of formed into what's your handicap? Let's go prove it on the course. And now we start playing with creators, and now we're playing with PGA pros. It's just kind of just domino effect from that one night, that one video where we actually just nixed the podcast total and just focused strictly on our own, us attempting to play golf, an average golfer.
absolutely, yeah. And that was like the thing is like, do you want to bet on talking about other people? Like, do you want to be Stephen A. Smith or do you want to be LeBron James? And I'm like, let's be LeBron, dude. Like, let's go play the game, you know? So that was it. Now we're able to, at the time, it was like, we're actually being creative. We're coming up with our own ideas. We're not great at golf. We got to find a way to make it work, not being good at golf. And so, yeah, we just like have really leaned into how do we be creative, make something entertaining for people. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially about like as an average golfer myself at around 10 or so handicap. Like that's not a small thing to decide to do, especially like if you look at a lot of the more successful creators, like they are usually like pretty damn good golfers, to be honest. So like from a content perspective, you've leaned all the way into like the competition, building your brand kind of on basically seeing if golfers like actually are as good as they say they are, whether it's on the driving range, asking, random people, again, the call your carry, can they actually hit it that far, or, setting up matches with some of the best local players at whichever club you happen to be visiting. But like almost all your content these days follows that same theme of competition, which again, you use the word yourself, like average golfers that you are. Like, how did you land on that? Was there any kind of nerves of being like, wait, we're not actually that good. Is this going to work? Or did you always have confidence that this is the way we want to do it?
I think, in retrospect, if you look at the average person that go out there, they're more relatable to us than they are the Bryan Bros. And I think we realize like there's more people like us out there, and we want more people like us to get out there and feel like they can go out and play and not be judged. And it's like at the end of the day, like we're going to be on the internet, we're going to get hate, we're probably going to get made fun of. But at the end of the day, like, we're literally playing golf for a living. It's a dream job, and people, it's going to come with hate no matter who you are. So I didn't think we came into it as like, people probably don't think we're idiots. It was more like, let's just go out there, and this is a job where we get to play golf for a living. We don't really care what what people say, and it's just kind of snowballed into average golfers or the normal people that are out there.
Yeah, and as far as nerves go, like, is kind of what you're asking, did we feel like kind of the risk of jumping into this thing?
Well, I guess, yeah, like when you looked at, okay, let's pursue this golf thing kind of full time, did you feel any kind of, I don't know if imposter syndrome is the right word, of like, are we good enough at golf to make this work, or do we even need to be? Just what was that thought process?
It's a great question. I think both me and Adam are competitive people in general. Like him talking about us meeting in seventh grade, that was we were on the same basketball team, and usually I was subbing for him, so he's starting over me too. So it was like there was a lot of there were definitely competitive people. We both played sports. He played high school baseball, was insane at baseball. I played football and basketball, and then so there's that bit in us that like probably every average golfer feels that if they were an athlete before, of like, why do I suck at this when I am playing so much, but I still suck? Like, that's there, you know? We understand that. There's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. But, like, we are not that good at golf, and so that's there. But, like, as far as nerves in the content world, like, I think both of us really, latched on to the idea of, like, if we really grind on the content, like, making good content that people want to watch, like, why wouldn't it work? I think that there was definitely a point in growth where we both kind of are like, yeah, like we can make this work. And so it was less nervous there. It definitely was a risk involved, but I think, with both of us, we saw the upside is worth it.
I think if we saw that we could focus on the entertainment value than us actually playing really good golf, it's like we might be able to go out there and entertain better or hold retention rates longer than other people and not being good at golf. I think that's kind of what we really honed in on, is like, let's make the most entertaining videos as possible without us being good at golf. So it's whether it's being strategic videos of undercover pro videos, or us where we're actually not even playing. We did a video where we had 6 golfers lined up. We never touched a golf club, and we hosted a challenge. So I think it's, how can we make entertaining golf even though we might not have to be in all the videos, as well as us actually playing golf. I think that was kind of our main focus as well.
Yeah. Well, and there is such a relatability factor, right, with kind of the average golf, because you're exactly right. I mean, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but they say like 95% of golfers can't even break 100, So when you're looking at, truly people who are actually really, really good at golf, there's not that many of them out there. So you're obviously appealing to a much bigger audience, kind of more with the average golf sort of brand. But from a content perspective, I'm curious, because we talked to Short Game King Daniel Saloner, who just played in the Creator Classic and all that, and like he obviously very good golfer, like just above a plus, handicap. But he said he almost loves when he makes a double and he's filming, because that tends to do better, whether it's people just love to make fun of him or that's super relatable or what have you. Like, have you guys encountered something similar? Have you almost felt that like the fact that you do make the odd, big number actually helps?
Yeah, totally. In every regard of the content world, right? Like, if you hit a hosel, it's kind of like shocking, and maybe people relate to it, and that's one thing. But then also just like things happening in the video in general that you can't really plan for. Like one of her more viral videos on TikTok, the guy that we called out, he was like a head pro. He holes out for eagle on his second shot, and it's like you don't plan on that. And then we had like a double on that hole, and then also there's all these comments about my shorts being too short. So it's like, that's kind of the thing about content, is like any little piece that someone can latch on to is good, so I definitely agree.
Well, kind of honing in on some of the specific moments in the content that you've shot, like it's a really interesting kind of angle you guys have taken to approach it, kind of these call out videos, and you talk about playing with some of the pros. I know we've worked together on your visit up to Macklemore and playing with the club pros up there, but obviously so much more goes into that content than the viewer's ever going to see. I mean, I think if anybody's playing even remotely close attention, they realize like, hey, you didn't actually just walk up there and ask the pro. Like some legwork had to go into it. But can you kind of talk us through, and maybe we'll start with you, Adam, and then you can kick it. But like, what does kind of the workflow look like on a lot of these? Whether it's the calling out the yardage on the drivers or on the range or a match, like what's kind of the average workflow, creative process, day of shooting, sort of?
Yeah.
How does the workflow work for you guys?
We kind of branched out into two realms. One's long form content and one short form. Connor and I can go to a driving range pretty easily and buy prizes and go out there and just ask people how far they call your carry. But the more I would say longer thought out processes is our long form YouTube videos where we're going to Macklemore. Our managers either reaching out to Macklemore, Macklemore's reaching out to us or you guys, and he's handling all those conversations, and then we have to fly out there or drive out there. We have two filmers that come along with us. So it's definitely more an intense process when we film long form videos, just because there's a lot of production that goes along with it. We have someone flying the drone, someone with a second camera. Then we have an A-cam guy. We have two full-time cameramen on our team and an agent. So it's definitely the workflow when we film a long form YouTube video. We'll try to knock out probably 3 to 4 videos in what we call like a Divot Dudes week. So we just got back from Florida. So a little inside scoop here. We just went to IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. We did a whole tour of the facility and then played a match. And that was 2 long form videos that we filmed out there for 4 days. And we got some short form videos as well. So we try to take a week out of the month. When we were living in separate places, we'd all fly somewhere. Now that we're all together, we all travel together. So we usually take a week out of the month, kind of lock a lot of videos in and try to knock out as much as we can with the time that we have. And then it'll take us 2 months with our editing team to kind of get everything edited over. I'll let Connor chime in some as well.
Yeah, and kind of like Adam's saying, like we're pretty hands-on to the whole creative, the creative process. That's us, that's me, Adam, and our manager Josh, just like sitting down brainstorming ideas, really spending time on that. But then on the production side, like Adam's gotten so knowledgeable about different cameras and gear, and it's like when we started out with an iPhone compared to what we're running now, dude, it's crazy. Like Adam's like really upgraded all of our camera gear over the years, and it's kind of just piece by piece. All of a sudden we look at these like 3 Pelican cases full of stuff that we're just looking at like, dang, we gotta set all this up for this video right now, so and that's the more intense videos that Adam's talking about, like you mentioned at Macklemore, where our manager will reach out and be like, hey, if y'all got a head pro that wants to do a match, like they'll come and challenge them, so stuff like that. But yeah, it's a whole big process, but it's pretty fun, and and in my opinion, way better than accounting, which is what I was going to school for. So,
hey, well, you're not the only one we've had on here talking about not using that degree. We talked to EJ Hill a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I got that finance degree, but the only thing I'm using is a tax class, just so I can do my self-employed taxes." But
try to not go to jail.
That too. But you mentioned kind of the tech upgrades you've kind of gone through, throughout this process, going from just an iPhone to now flying with all this equipment. I mean, I guess at what point, I'm just curious, like, did it make sense for that investment into this business, right? Because I can't imagine that any of those things are cheap. Like, was there a moment you said, okay, we're doing all right, but we could be better, but it's going to require X thousands of dollars to make this happen? How did you kind of go through that decision? What did that look like, and when did you decide, hey, we need to upgrade here if we want to make this something bigger?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, anybody that's listening, if you want to start out you have an iPhone and AirPods or a GoPro. Like, you don't need $15,000 worth of camera gear to start your own YouTube. And the brand new iPhones that came out is just as good as a new camera nowadays. But we used iPhones for the first year, and honestly, we didn't really put any money into it of our own pocket. Like, we both had iPhones, we both had golf clubs. Probably after the first 6 to 8 months, we were like, we should probably upgrade our equipment. And I bought the camera gear myself because I kind of knew a little bit more camera stuff. I was like, I want a camera anyways, I'll just use it and we'll run with it. We just had one camera. It was just a Lumix full frame camera that we use for everything. I think it was probably 6 to 8 months in, and we were just taking all the money we were making the first year and just putting it directly back into the business. We didn't pay ourselves. Like, we're just going to take that money, put it back, upgrade our equipment, or hire someone to help edit our videos. So we probably really didn't make that decision until I would probably say what 6 to 8 months in to like maybe we should use something better than the iPhone. Maybe we should get some mics or something that you can hear us better.
Yeah, when we bought the Lumix,
Hmm.
yeah, it probably was around that mark. Because before that, like we'd actually rent
Yeah, we rent
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Like we would rent like the finger flicker camera, which is one we have now. It's a Panasonic. We would rent that every time, and I think Adam, it was like after we'd done a few trips like that, we're like, dang, we're paying like $400 every time to rent this. We should just buy one.
Just bite the bullet. Yeah. So we bit the
Yeah,
bullet, bought a camera, $2,000, and like I said, Divot Dudes didn't pay. I paid for it. Eventually, got reimbursed back when we started making money on the channel. But yeah, it probably took a full year until we really had a full production setup, to where we had everything we need. We have a drone. We have 3 cameras, a vlog cam. Like the list goes on and on. All the things I never thought we would ever have, and I had to learn on how to use, and Connor had to learn how to edit. I had to learn how to use camera gear, which I was clueless on. So we both learn so many new niches and skills, and it'll only help us in the long run. But it's been a cool journey to kind of see where we first started from. We had I would call it a full circle experience when we first filmed with Mac Hereford and Hannah Cook, and we were running around with iPhones. And then like 2 years later, we asked them to do another video. And like, well, are y'all still using iPhones? Like, no, we have literally a whole team that does it for us now. So it was kind of a full circle experience for us to kind of see like, oh, they think we're still using iPhones, and we have a full production team now. So it's been cool to see that the change. That's been 3 years from now. But it was just little upgrades every 6 months or so that could only help our videos in the long run.
yeah, and money wise, like we did not pay ourselves a dollar. I think until this year, right? Like we did not pay ourselves a dime. Maybe end of last year or something. Yeah, so it was almost 3 years of every bit of money going into trips, camera gear, eventually hiring an editor, management, like all that. Like we were just like very focused on business, like build. Don't just pay yourself out when you get it.
Yeah. Well, that really is what I kind of want to talk about next, is terms of like what was the road to, I guess, profitability like? How were you able, for so many people who want to get started doing this, who want to leave whatever their day job is, like at what point did you guys do that? I mean, were you guys kind of living mean and eating ramen while you're kind of building this business, or like just kind of how did that work as you, like you said, we're not paying yourselves at all? How'd you make that work until you basically could make some money off of it?
Yeah, I mean, we both had different experiences with that, like similar in a lot of ways and different in some ways. I don't know, Adam, if you want to kind of share how much of your corporate slash dude's life, you can share some of that.
Yeah, I've worked corporate until this past January. I did both at the same time. I kind of took the front of it. He owned his own business. I was in corporate sales, but left that in this past January, so like right before the New Year-ish, I would say. But I think like we said, we just kind of put everything back into the business, and it came to the point where like I physically can't take off any more work. I have no more PTO days left, and we have to go down to whatever Chip had next. Is like I just got to quit, and I mean, we had to take a little bit of a risk. Thankfully, our wives are amazing people and super understanding, and they both work full time as well, and we both probably relied on them a little bit as well. But if you're wanting to quit, make sure you have, I wouldn't say it an emergency fund, but I wouldn't be trying to live paycheck to paycheck. I would make sure there's something in the bank that will be able to pay some of the bills, because social media is such a revolving door. Some months it's like, oh man, we're making great money. And then the next month it's December and no golf's being played. And you're like, it's unfortunate we didn't make as much as we did in June. But it's a sliding scale. And I quit later. Connor sold his business early on, put a little more focus and time and energy into all the editing front, and so he was able to kind of do both and work from home, and I was traveling in my corporate job. But it was a grind at first. It was a risk. Like even my parents were like, "You're leaving your what job to do what?" You're like, "What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? You worked hard to get where you are." And so my wife and her parents, I was like, "What are you talking about? You're going to be a YouTube golfer. You're not good
Dude,
at golf." So it
telling
was a
telling the in-laws with full confidence what we're quitting our jobs to do, that's a big one.
Yes, but it was the risk that we were both willing to take. We knew we would make this work, and we both are more business minded into anything, and want to make sure we have that safety net just in case if say something doesn't go the way we want it to for 3 or 4 months, we'll still be able to pay ourselves and our team. So it just took some time to get to that point where we built up a savings account to like just in case if this doesn't work, we're not doing great for 6 months, we still have enough to pay us to make a good wage. So I'll let Connor jump in and talk about his experience.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of like what he was saying, like there was those conversations with me and my wife for the first year and a half of like, hey, we're only spending money on this. You're not making money, and like it's taking all of your extra time, right? And I'm like, trust me, like just give it time. And so like, shout out to her for not leaving me during that. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a grind, and I think you kind of look throughout the history of the entertainment world, and there's lots of different stories. Some people who were like, you gotta quit everything now and do it, or you're never gonna do it. And it's like I think it really depends on the person. Like I think truthfully, if you want something enough, you'll find out a way to make it happen. And if you didn't, then it's probably just because you're comfortable where you're at and you chose comfortability over the grind for a season. So I think for us, it was worth the grind to make it happen. I was, like Adam mentioned, was running a moving company in Nashville that I had started in 2019, and it was doing well, but like that wasn't what I was passionate about. And so like as it took my focus away from the moving company onto the Divot Dudes. Divot Dudes was growing and the moving company was not. And thankfully I was able to sell it for something before it just went to zero. But yeah, I mean, like he was saying, there's always risk involved. And if you really want something, you'll find out how to make it happen, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's definitely applicable to all kinds of stuff in life. Just not even in golf, but I think y'all's story is awesome and one that's very much shared, but I think by everybody who has made a way kind of in the content space, because at some point it requires that jumping off, right? That decision to go pursue it full force, and that's kind of the only way you can do it. But before I get you guys out of here, I do want to talk about some little more not lighthearted, but like not as serious stuff as life and business and all that. So you guys are of course famous again for the interactions more or less with strangers on the range or on the golf course. I'm just curious, what's one or two of the more memorable interactions you've had with some of these? Any big surprises? A guy who could absolutely just mash that you wouldn't have expected, or just something that sticks out when you think about some of those videos you've shot.
That's a good question. It's funny because a lot of people will ask us, like, do y'all ever get told no? And we're like, most of the interactions are 90% of the time it's yes. But for some reason, when I go up to ask people, it's no for some reason. So I think I've gotten probably the most no's out of anybody that's ever gone up to someone. I don't know if it's I just look bad or like my interaction's bad or something, but I've probably gotten 10 no's and Connor's probably gotten one no in his life. But I would think it's more of the guys that, in my opinion, it's pretty funny, and it just for me is like, yeah, I can hit the ball 300 yards, but technically they don't know that it's carry distance, it's not rolling out, because you get on a golf course and you're out there and you drive up to your drive and you're like, oh, this is 320 yards out there. I'm like, well, yeah, it rolled out 60 yards on a worm
You hit the
burner.
cart path 4
Yeah,
times.
so it's funny to just kind of see the recognition of people. I think when you see a pro hit the ball, it sounds completely different and it goes so much further than what you rather expect. Whether it's like Ben Haddon, that's a semi-pro guy, or if it's Ben Crane, he won 5 times on the PGA Tour. It's a different sound, and it's just a truly cool experience to watch someone like that can carry the ball 340 yards. I think those have been my favorite memories, just watching the guys that are actually really good at it.
Yeah. I think some that kind of stand out in my mind, maybe some of the early on ones, like people that we challenged that ended up becoming friends with after too. I think of like Maddox was one guy that he's a college golfer at Trevecca right now, and like just a great kid that was just on the range practicing one day, and we just walked up to him, asked him how far he hit it, and and he smoked it like 300 yards. Was just a really nice kid. We ended up like playing around with him, filming a whole nother video with him.
He
And
got like
now,
two NIL deals from that video too. So it was like
right.
cool to see people that are being in the videos and then getting recognized outside. That one of our most viral videos was out here in Franklin, Tennessee, as a high schooler. What do you carry? 300 and something yards, 320 yards.
Yeah, yeah. It was like he said like around 300 and hit it like 317 or something like that in the air, and he was 16 years old.
And we had a college coach, the University of Southern California coach, is DMing us like, hey, can we get in touch with the golfer? So I think kind of seeing that's been a really cool opportunity, is like some of these high schoolers getting recognized on the college space and getting a scholarship. Not saying it's from us, but maybe we help them get onto the platform to get recognized. That was a really cool experience to see as well.
Yeah, now that is cool. That's something I hadn't thought about, like especially for golf as a collegiate sport that like is followed, but like again, it's not like football where there's tape on everybody, right? There's no huddle really for golfers. So the idea that you could introduce a college coach to a player through that actually is pretty cool, and I got to imagine it's pretty just pretty rewarding and neat for you guys to see too. So just lastly, what can folks look forward to? You mentioned you were just down in Bradenton filming at IMG. What have you guys got coming up that you're excited about that you can plug real fast?
Dude, there's a lot going on right now. I guess I feel like I usually say too much and get in trouble. So maybe Adam, you
usually got to keep a leash on him.
Nothing's off the table. Say whatever you want, but I don't want to be the one to say.
We filmed a cool video at Paynes Valley that's going to be released later this year that we're really excited for. Two bigger creators as well that was played with us, and we also, full circle moment as well, we brought back the podcast. So the Average Golf Club podcast is back into business. We've had some cool guests, NFL football player come on. So we're having some cool other guests as well. So we're excited to see the future of that moving forward. It's not going to be just golf. It's called the Average Golf Club, but it's not just about golf. We talk about a little bit about everything. But we kind of, if you want to touch on the IMG stuff and as well, I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, we went down the IMG Academy, which if you're familiar with the school, it's a freaking powerhouse of a high school. I mean, I played D1 football, and like we walked around in their facilities, and they were nicer than the school I was at, Auburn's facilities at the time when I was there. So it was like, this is a high school. That was me and Adam just walking around the whole time like, dude, this is a high school. Like, what is this? So that was really cool and just fun to kind of do something unique. And so really excited to see how that video turns out, and think it could be cool. We've got a pro golfer that we'll be filming something with soon that we won't give away who that is, but very big up and coming pro golfer. I mean, it's just making stuff with friends, and
got some good videos in the hopper. Bro. So if you're watching, stay tuned and give Nate a follow as well, because this has been a fun podcast.
But anyway, thanks you guys so much for hopping on. Again, those listening, be sure to check them out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Divot Dudes. And yeah, really excited to see what you guys have coming up. And again, really appreciate the time hopping on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us, Nate. And make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. This is on YouTube, Spotify.
It will be on YouTube. The first
YouTube,
call.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button and let us know who's a better golfer, me or Connor. We'll get those engagement going.
That's what I've got to work on. I've not hit the smash that like button, comment, repost, subscribe, unsubscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, all that good stuff. Cheers, boys.
Yeah, you can throw this at the beginning. Adam saying subscribe. If you're not subscribing to Nathan Moore's podcast, what are you doing? What are you doing?